Hey everyone, this is Cameron AB, and I'm sitting down with my friend Mike. Mike, just tell people a little bit about who you are and what you're all about.
Well, first and foremost, I'm a father of four boys. I like to say that first because that's who I am.
That is your full-time
Uh,
job.
exactly right.
Yeah.
And then after that, I'm an actor, spokesperson. I've done commercial acting. I do some modeling, voiceover work. So I do all the stuff that you can try to do in the entertainment industry to the best of my ability. I have a corporate background, so I did the corporate thing for 30 years and made the switch and having a blast.
Good, 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 good. And, we talked about this right before we started. You have not been in the industry for a long time, considered to, some people.
Hmm.
And, I'm all about trying to give value to whomever's listening. Does that pan well with, your first career transitioning into modeling and acting?
It was kind of a weird transition, to be honest.
Okay.
It wasn't one that I was expecting to make
Mm.
when it occurred. I was working. I was in the corporate world for most of my career, and it was time for a change. And I went and helped a buddy of mine in the construction business for about a year, and helped him clean up his computer systems and all that stuff. And when I was leaving, he had bought a design firm, and one of the guys that came with the company is an acting instructor. And he's like, "Hey, you should check this school out." And I was like, "I kid you not." I said, "Are you blowing smoke up my ass?" And he said, "No, no, no, for real." Um, and I went to an open call with about 50 people, and four of us were invited to the school. So that's kind of how I got started.
Gotcha.
But um, but for me, the cool thing is that um, because I have that corporate background, I have a different look on things, and I try to treat this like a business. And I know a lot of people that don't do that. And you need to, anything you do in life, you have to treat it like, especially if you're doing it on your own, you have to treat it like a business, and you have to have goals, you have to set budgets, you have to do all the things that a normal business would do if you really want to succeed. And so it was the cool thing for me where when I was younger, there was no way I could talk in front of a camera. I was shy. I just couldn't do it. It wasn't who I was.
But did you have people coming to you and say, like, "Hey, you have a good look. You got a good face. You should do some
Nope,
modeling"? You had nobody do
nope,
it.
nope.
Really?
It was something I wanted to do in my 20s because I definitely had a look for it, but I didn't have the confidence for it at the time. And you don't think of yourself as camera friendly or whatever you want, whatever term you want to use,
Yeah.
until somebody else tells you that. You know what I mean? You don't. At least I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
So like I said, I got into it, and but I took my professional experiences and brought them to this. So everything that I've done in the past. Um, Sorry, my
That's
phone's
all
going
right.
off.
That's okay.
Um, and I brought it to here. So, I show up early for everything I attend. I bring too much wardrobe. I'm always prepared. And people know that about me. And I've done repeat jobs over and over with multiple clients in the commercial world because of that. I'm easy to work with. I get along with. I ran operations for technology companies, and I had to deal with sales reps on a daily basis, and sometimes I had egos, sometimes I didn't. And you you build that, and I don't want to call it thick skin, but you build the ability to interact with anybody. And that's the thing that I think I gained the most was not only can I talk with anybody and turn a situation from a negative to a positive, which I've I've done in this industry as well.
Yeah.
Um, but I also, because I have an operations background, I can look at something and kind of see that something's going to go wrong before it does, and kind of
Mm.
bring it to people's attention.
Mm.
Even if it's something as simple as, hey, you see that Starbucks cup sitting on the table right there? It wasn't in the
Yep.
last scene. You
Yeah.
may want to move it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just the little things that make a difference.
That reminds me of that Game of Thrones
Yep.
problem that you know exactly what I'm talking about, where they aired
That's why I
it.
brought it up, because I'm binging on it right now because I never watched it. So
Now's the
I'm up to
time.
seasons. Yep, I'm up to season 6. I'm on season 6 now, and it's been pretty fun. And my brother-in-law actually said last night, he goes, "Oh, wait till the Starbucks cup scene
Yeah.
comes up." So I think that's in the last
I,
season.
I
But
I actually think that that actually helped the show because I think a lot of people criticized the last season, and when they had that kind of mishap, it kind of put a lot of
mm,
press to it and a lot of more attention to it. So say that as you will, but I think it maybe that there was a silver lining to that.
yeah, maybe.
But maybe, but um, one thing I did want to talk about is we're all stuck inside in quarantine and we're all binge watching and all trying to make the best of it. You started a film festival during all this.
I did. It's called the From a Distance Film Festival. Get it? From a Distance.
That that's it.
It's online. My friend Gabby Faye and I started it up together. And basically, what we're doing is we're running a film festival for the reasons there's no film festivals for people to attend right now.
Hmm.
So everything that I've been involved with creating so far since this lockdown or quarantine has occurred has all had two goals in my opinion. It's been, let's keep actors creating and being creative and just doing stuff. And the second one, and the most important one, was to bring a little bit of joy to anyone around the world by doing something that they can watch.
Hmm.
You know, whether it's a clip or a short that we do, or it's this film festival. And the festival um, is the nice thing about it is it can be viewed by anyone around the world. We're not charging for submissions. We're doing all the work. You know, I'm doing all the web work and all that stuff. Um, Gabby's doing all of the promotion for it, which is great. And we're we're up to 24 films after a week, which I think is pretty cool. It's not, I want to make it a lot bigger, but I'm thrilled that we have 24 short films so far.
Good.
And people around the world are going to get to watch these, and that's um, if people can just smile for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or an hour because they watch a whole bunch of them, then that's really the main goal of it. Because we're all dealing with negativity, we're locked up, and we don't have the luxuries or the freedoms that we normally do to go out and do whatever we feel like doing. People aren't working right now, so the income issue is out there. um, and we're all feeling it. So if we can create something that allows others to just have a few minutes of joy in their day, it was well worth putting this together.
Good. Yeah, and I think that that's all it goes down to is taking people out of this kind of vortex of negativity and just kind of making something have a little bit more headspace for people. I love
Mhm.
it. I love it. I need to submit a short film to you guys, and I'm actually going to do that later today. I produced a short film that I also use for my reel,
Okay,
a clip for it. Yeah,
cool.
really into that.
Love to
Um,
have it. Yeah.
yeah. Now you've since you didn't start when you were in your 20s like you said, and a lot of people see this industry as like a young person's game. Do you see any differences with not just the roles but just the way in which you're treated because you are a little older? Is it
No.
any differences with that?
For me, I don't look at it. I don't see that. And for me, I mean, my roles are very specific. You know, I have that dad look. I've got the
Yeah,
corporate look.
yeah.
And all that stuff. And there's certain, we all get typecast in certain spots. I don't think I could pull off a good homeless guy. Right now, maybe with my hair getting a little
Don't
worse,
say
maybe.
that. Don't say. You never
Maybe you
know.
never know.
Don't shut the door.
Um, so, and I'm open to doing any kind of role, but to answer your question, um, when I got into this and people are like, "Hey, you're going to be competing against people that have been doing this for 30 years," I'm like, "Okay, I don't care, whatever." Um, but when I interact with whoever I'm interacting with on a set or just even at an audition, I mean, granted, when I audition, I'm typically auditioning against people that are my age, in my age range. Um, but when I'm on set, it's, we're all, we all try to be a family together on set. I did a national commercial in February, and we had so much fun. It was kind of ridiculous. It was so much fun. And it was from, there was four, obviously there was a girl that played my wife, and then we had a son and a daughter. And um, the way that we bonded and it was like a 4 or 5 day shoot. It was just, we looked like a real family, and we interacted like a real family, and we had fun like a real family. And it made the job so fun, and it made it fun, not just for us, but even the directors and producers are like, man, you guys are killing it. And we see it on screen. Now they delayed the whole commercial for purposes because they're a retail chain, but and they don't want to put it out there until after this kind of blows over.
Yeah.
But the point there is that you interact with all different ages, and to me it's how you interact with people. And a humble guy, and I'm not somebody that goes around and hey, I'm older than you, so I must be different or better than you. I don't look at it by any stretch that way. I learn from everyone, and it doesn't matter if they're younger or older. It's, we all have the option to or the choice to determine how we're going to react to any situation, whether it's a good one or a bad one. And I always look at things from a learning perspective. And sometimes I learn, and sometimes I can help teach.
Yeah, and that's great. I think that's a great way to look at it, because I know that sometimes ego gets in the way, and a lot of people think, "Oh, I don't have as many credits, so I'm not going to get that role over that next person." That's not usually what casting and the producers are looking for. They're looking for the person who's right for that role.
Exactly right.
And I'm sure in certain rooms, if there were two equal actors, they would compare resumes, and they would kind of bet on the resume that has a little bit more experience. But especially in today's world, where there's so much content and there's so much dealing with people's schedules, there's opportunity for everybody. There's enough cake to eat for everybody.
Oh, absolutely, there
Yeah.
is. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. So that's all great. I'm all about advice, giving advice, and trying to spread it to as many people. In your short time, I mean, relatively short time in the industry, what are some key attributes that you have found that just work, and some things that just don't work?
Well, for me, because I have that corporate background, whenever I go into a job and we're just waiting around, whatever, all the actors, we'll just sit down and we'll start BSing with each other,
Yeah.
and I will kind of take the lead on, and it doesn't matter if they're younger or older with me. I kind of, that's just who I am. And I
Great.
explain what I do, and I explain the fact that I set goals for myself, and I have a pie in the sky goal of being a principal on the Hallmark Channel. That's one of my big goals that I
Great.
set for myself about a year and a half ago.
Great.
And it's still a goal, and it's not. I'm not turning it off. I'm not letting it go. I'm still focused on that goal, while even though I'm still doing other stuff, right? So when I'm um, talking with people, it's, when normal times exist and there's a lot of projects out there, I track how many projects I submit to that fit my
Mhm.
category, and I have a goal of 30 submissions per week. Now, obviously, right now that's not happening, but during the normal times of the year, I hit that every single week. And even though I've got agents doing the same thing, we all know that, or most of us know that just because you have an agent doesn't mean you stop self-submitting for yourself. Now, a lot of new people don't know that. Um, and when I share those types of things with people, they're just floored. They're caught off guard because that's not what they do. And so I love sharing that kind of advice with people because it pushes them to take a hard look at what they're doing to make their career really grow And I love doing that. I do it as often as I can when I'm on set, and I've built some great friendships because of it. There's no
Good.
doubt.
Now, you touched on something that I want to segue to. I always do research on everybody, and I saw that you have a lot of representation. You have representation here in Philly, New York, Florida, California, both theatrical and modeling agencies. How does that work? Because I'm sure that a lot of people don't realize that many actors and models have multiple reps and managers and publicists. How does that whole team kind of work for you? How have you seen it?
Well, when I got into the industry, and I've learned this from my past, is that you're the best kept secret, right? Because nobody knows who you are.
Yeah.
So a friend and I got into the industry roughly about the same time, and we took two different approaches, and we're both doing pretty well um, in our growth. And so what I decided to do is I was going to go wide, right? I said I need to get as many people to know who I am. So I went and started. Obviously, I started submitting for projects and all that stuff. And then I started submitting to agencies. And little by little, people will start saying, you know how it works. You send them out to 50 of them, you get like one or two responses if you're lucky.
Yeah.
And that started happening. And then I started getting referrals from other people that said, hey, why aren't you should talk to so and so. So that's what I did. And while I probably right now have a little more representation than I probably need at this juncture, um, there's not a lot of overlap, to be honest, because Reinhardt down in Philly, I love those guys, but I don't compete with them with anybody else in New York or New Jersey or anything to that effect. And that's the best part, is that if there is an overlap, and it occurs from time to time, but every agency has different relationships with their clients, right? Now, some of them are let's just call it, they'll put their entire roster out to a call, and the casting determines who they want to see. So sometimes you end up in a cattle call, and other times they're very specific on who they're submitting. So for me, it's been a good experience of having a decent amount of representation. And I know some areas are tough. I've met some friends in Atlanta. You're only allowed to have one agent in Atlanta, which I was floored by. Now, I knew that was the case on the West Coast. I didn't realize it was local, because here we can kind of do whatever we want. But and like I said, as you grow in this, you determine what makes the most sense for your career moving forward. And just like every other business, I do the same thing. But it's definitely a relationship business, and each agent has their specific relationships that just benefit them as an agency, and then it helps you as talent.
Yeah, and I like to talk to people about representation, because I want them to realize that it's a team. It's not like you get
Yep.
an agent and they're the ones who kind of hold the keys to the casting director. It's not a whole bunch of gatekeepers in this industry.
Right.
You are, take a sports analogy, like you are the Michael Jordan of your team. You're the franchise face of your
Right.
team, and you need to act as such, and you need to play as such. We can keep going, but for me personally, I never felt like I needed to, kind of knock on doors and wait for people to open them. As you said, this is a relationship game. This is not so much you pleading and asking people for roles,
Right.
because a lot of times you might think you're great for a role, but the producer has a certain image, or the director has a certain person already in mind. So you're already kind of not in a great place. And to get your hopes and dreams up based on that is not a good way to go. That's just going to lead to some failure. So there's so much I want to talk about, but trying to boil it down, Mike. what are some how much, you know, you have a North Star, which I love, and I think that a lot of actors, they just kind of want to be able to do everything. They
Mhm.
say, okay, I want to go and I want to have a Golden Globe. I want my own TV show. I want this podcast. I want to do this and that and third thing. But very few actors actually get to do all those things. Um, and you know, I follow Bonnie Gillespie. I don't know if you know who
Mhm.
that person is yet.
Yep.
I think all new actors need to at least listen to what she has to say. You need that North Star. You need that role that you are going to that's going to light you on fire, and you need to reverse engineer all the way down to where you are now and figure out
Yep.
what that trajectory is. So yeah. So right now with all this, are you doing any other kind of prep work for when this whole COVID-19 situation ends?
Well, some of the things I'm doing now is I'm still doing, right. So we've
Yeah.
created my friend Rich Henkels and I have created a couple projects. So the first one we did was it was a Zoom um, program for actors. So we basically acted out, what's it like to use Zoom technology as an actor? And we had six of us on screen, and we made it funny where we kept goofing things up. Who would hit the mute button? Who would share their screen? All that kind of goofy
Right.
stuff. And so that was fun to do. And then we went a different approach, and we now have a series. It's called Quarantine Island. We've got 2 episodes that are out there now. We're shooting a third next week, and we're trying to do it weekly. So it keeps us engaged. And I don't have a lot of comedy footage, to be honest with you. And these are comedies, so it's fun for me because I'm stretching myself more right now because I'm doing something that I haven't done
Good.
really on camera. And so I'm looking at other options as far as trainings are concerned. And it's a little tougher to do an acting training online than it is to do it face to face.
Yeah.
But I'm up, I'm working on my um, setups for my self tapes. I'm kind of taking that right now to the next level and buying some new equipment to give me a more professional look than I currently have. And that's important because I think the era of self tapes is just growing, and it's not. I don't think it's going to go away. I think it's actually going to get bigger, and that's a good and bad thing. Being in the Philly market and having to go up to New York for 15 minutes for
Yeah.
an audition and then coming back is
Exactly.
I love going to New York and all that stuff. But if I can do it from the comfort of my own home and still accomplish what we need, then I need to make sure that everything I'm doing is showing me in the most professional light that I can be in.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's same here. I actually took the plunge and uh, I got myself an IMDb Pro account. I really started marketing myself. I started taking inventory of what my resume looks like, what my headshot
Hmm.
really is captivating. Same thing with my self tapes. Kind of took what I have and what I don't have, and I'm even signed up for an acting class, a Zoom acting class during this time. Um,
Cool.
so I'm just making, just like you said, you're just making do with what you got. And even if you have to tweak, and you're just tweaking to change yourself. And I, you know, I do see some actors not doing that. Um, and it doesn't matter their experience level. And, it's really going to be interesting how all this plays out with the industry. I was talking with a good friend of mine in LA, and he was telling me, we kind of came to the same realization that there's some people in the industry that are kind of working on the edges. Maybe financially they're not in a great place, or maybe their heart's not totally into it anymore, and things are just gotten even harder in some ways. But
Mhm.
I actually feel as if that might lead to, more of a renaissance, because now all the producers are thinking about all sorts of new roles and opportunities. Writers are
Hmm.
having a field day,
Yep.
just stuck at home, just writing all those projects that they've been, keeping it on the shelf.
Yeah.
Um, and everybody's just kind of getting a little antsy about making content. So I think when all this is done, there's going to be a boom of opportunity, and I hope that people do take advantage of this.
And I would agree with you. That's what I think. I think when the floodgates open, they're going to open in a big way,
Yeah,
because everybody wants to get back to creating. I mean, it's not even just this industry. Everybody in the world wants to get back to work. They want to get
yeah,
back to doing what they're great, what they enjoy. Um, and I think it's gonna happen. And that's part of the reason why, um, I challenge myself to stay creative right now, is because when things do open up, um, I want people to recognize that, there's people out there that are still they're still making, an impact on people's lives even during this time. And I want to be one of those people that people go back and go, man, he didn't give up, he didn't stop. I mean, he kept pushing forward, and not only am I pushing forward, but I'm pushing forward with the the intent of helping others get through this time. And that's the most important to me, is helping people push through, in any fashion. Obviously, when we're not working and we're not bringing in income like we're used to doing, you can't help people financially,
yeah,
but you can help them in a lot of other ways. And it's not always about money. It's just, that we all have, um, a sanity level that we reach, right? And, you want to stay positive, you want to stay sane. And we're creating to make that happen for people. And some people are going to go, what's he doing? You always have the naysayers, but if we can put a smile on one person's face, whatever we did was worth it.
yeah.
That's how I feel.
Good. Now, how about your kids? How are they viewing all this? Because they must have known you before.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they're like, it's cool, Dad. It's cool. But now they're like, I saw myself on a commercial that I did last August, and I just saw it for the first time on TV like 3 days ago.
Yeah.
So what do? I pause it, right, in classic, and I wait and I wait for my youngest to come down, and I go, hey, look on the screen. He goes, oh, okay. you
All
know,
right.
yeah, it's exactly. He's like, yeah, whatever.
All right.
you
All
know,
right, Dad, you're
um,
working. I get it.
yeah, exactly. It was pretty funny. And So they're cool with it. They like the fact that I'm doing it, and they, even my 15-year-old is like, yeah, that's pretty cool. And he's a very outgoing kid, but as soon as I put him in front of the camera with me, like, forget it, he's deer in headlights, instantly. But my 8-year-old loves it. He's done a short film with me last year. He has actually done some modeling work already.
Good.
um, yeah, so he enjoys it, and he has that. He's just outgoing. He's got a good look and all that stuff. So I'm hoping that things move on for him. But the kids are, yeah, they're cool with it, and they're happy to see Dad's doing something that he really enjoys.
And that must bleed on to them too, because a happy
Yeah,
household, just makes for happy people. That's
absolutely right.
great. That's great. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I like to ask two specific questions. They're kind of vague, but I always ask everybody, what is one thing in the industry that
Okay.
you wish could be changed? Or something that you
Uh,
see that it's like, I wish I didn't have to do this every single, or I see this all the time and it doesn't have to be this way. I've had people say, audition, the whole auditioning process people don't like, or, casting, or would you just whatever comes to mind.
and what comes to mind, to be honest with you, is I wouldn't change it. I mean,
Hmm.
the things that the reason I wouldn't change anything personally is because I feel blessed that I get to do this, and I feel honored that somebody wants to see me come in for an audition. I think what needs to change, though, is people need to understand that when you go to an audition, the casting people want you to do well. They want you to succeed. They don't want you to walk in there scared to death or nervous and have the butterfly effect and not do well. That's not why they brought you in. You know, they want you to succeed. They want to see you do well. And that's what people need to recognize is that, you know, while and one other thing that I would say is that I've seen friendships end because of competition in the industry. And if there was one thing I'd love to see change, it's that, because my friend Rich and I, and like I said, we started working together, or we worked together on his first project,
Hmm.
and I was in the business probably about 5 months before him, and we've become friends. We compete against each other on a regular basis, but we're always with the attitude of, hey, if one of us gets it, great, you know.
Yeah.
And he's a little bit older than me. He's got the James Brolin, you know, more whitish hair. So
Okay.
when we compete, granted, we're competing because we're in the same age range, but we have completely different looks. You know what I mean? So as you said earlier, when casting has an idea of what they're looking for, you know, you can't change that, you know, unless you do something that throws them off. They're like, oh wow, I didn't see that coming, and that kind of drives you forward. But we treat our friendship comes first. We help each other in our auditions, even when we're auditioning against each other for a role, and that I wish more people would do.
Yeah, I love that. And you know, we're all in this together, you know, like we just said before, there's enough opportunity out there.
Hmm.
And you don't know how the casting director is really looking at the project. You know, I remember when one of the very first, you know, I forget what it's called. It's not a co-star. Yeah, it's a co-star role
Hmm.
on an HBO series. Um, they had me come in, and a lot of people. I got a call back, and you know, a meeting out of it, and I didn't get the role, and I started thinking about it, and when I had the chance, and when the series came out, I was able to look through casting. I was able to find who that person was who got
Hmm.
it, and
Yep.
it was a woman. So I was like, oh,
Wow.
I can't compete with that, you
Yep.
know.
Yep. You can't.
Obviously, it was a very open role, and you know, maybe they wanted whomever she was working with, one of the main stars, recurring stars of the how that kind of relationship, and maybe they figured, oh, a female in this role would have been better for this opportunity.
Sure.
I mean, and so many things change on the fly like that.
Exactly right.
So
Yep.
so
We
you
went.
yeah. So you can't you can't beat yourself up over that.
No, you can't.
Yeah, yeah. So, and the other question I like to ask is, what is one thing that you love about this that you can't get anywhere else?
Um, Honestly, I enjoy helping people more than anything else,
Mm.
and I get to do that every time I'm on set, because we're just um, you're meeting somebody new almost every single time. And then, granted, there's certain projects that you work on that are repeat, and you get to go back and work with the same people again, which I love. But I'm meeting new people every single time I go to any set,
Yeah,
and that I love the most, because it's not only like I enjoy what I'm doing, and I love the acting, and I love being a part of a project. Um, but I love helping people at the same time, and I kind of have these conversations in the past of, I don't know if I love acting more than helping people, or helping people more than acting. And it's but the cool thing is I get to do both. And
yeah,
that, I think, is what I like the most about it, is I get to do something that I really enjoy doing. And while I'm doing it, I'm learning from people that have been doing it from a longer perspective, and I'm helping people, sometimes people that have been in it for a lot longer than me.
yeah,
And that's the cool part, is when you get to help somebody realize how much more they can do to push their career forward.
yeah.
It's a wonderful feeling.
And it's also good to know that those people who have been in it longer, they mess up too. They have,
You know what?
it's shocking. It's a lot of times, I see actors that you kind of put up on a pedestal, and they're flubbing lines all the time. They're not sure of what to do. They're always learning, and that's what I want people to realize, is that you're a student at best in this.
Absolutely. I mean, for me, it's you're right. You're always learning, and don't be afraid to learn. I mean, the one thing we all have to remember, we're all human beings. We make mistakes. That's part of who we are. It's part of life. And it doesn't matter if you're an actor, or you're a truck driver, or you're a grocery worker, or you're a surgeon. We're all human beings, and we're all not perfect. So, when you go out and you do something and you flub a line, like you said, or you miss a beat or whatever it might be, it's don't let it weigh you down. Don't let anything weigh you down. It's not, it doesn't help you move forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you had to give, because I'm going to try to wrap it up, but I mean, you've said so much advice. Is there anything else that you would want to say to either a younger you or somebody just starting off in the business? What could you kind of part?
Sure. Go for it. Go all in. Don't go halfway. Don't, think you're just going to become this overnight sensation, because granted, while it may happen from time to time, it's not the standard, right? So go all in. Have support behind you, because if you're a younger person that's starting off, understand that you need to grow some thick skin. It's not, you're gonna, I use this analogy all the time. In most industries, no news is good news. Yeah. In this industry, no news is you didn't book something, right? And be okay with that. Just don't beat yourself up over you didn't book a role. Remember that every time you go in front of someone, whether it's online, whether it's at an audition, whether it's what you're putting out on your website, make it professional. Be the best you can be. Don't go halfway, because if you don't go out and get a quality headshot, what does that say? Yeah. It screams you're not serious, right? If you show up tired, or you show up not prepared, or you don't have the wardrobe they wanted you to have, that shows, and be grateful that you're there. That's the other thing I would say, is be grateful that you're there. Be humble, but be honest about what your capabilities are. Don't oversell yourself. And most importantly, have fun.
Have fun. Yeah. And that should be the button to it. That should be, you need to have fun, because a lot of people are in this and they want to have fun, and you should have fun. Yeah. So Mike, where can people find you?
Well, I have a website that's www.mikeprov.com. That's my website. And then on social media, I created one username for everything. So if you look me up, it's Mike A. Provenzano, Provenzano, because most people won't know how to spell that. And that's, I'm on all the socials, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, all that stuff.
TikTok?
And TikTok, I'm not on TikTok
yet.
Okay.
Just had to ask.
I do have an account, but I have not used it yet.
That's okay. It's okay.
But part of our quarantine island, we call it TokTik, because we're old. So it's pretty.
You're old. You're old.
Yeah, we're old. We're the parent. I'm one of the parents, so we call it TokTik.
Yeah. No, and yeah, it doesn't matter the age, but you're doing it. You're loving it. And that's all that needs to be said. So, yep. Mike, thank you so much for taking a little bit of time out of your quarantine. Good luck to you and your boys. Stay safe out there. And I'll see you when this is all over. Hey guys, thanks so much for listening to the podcast. If you got any value from this, please share with a friend and make sure to subscribe so you can listen to every new episode. All right, have a great day.